Welcome to Tehachapi. Sit back and relax as Key Budge and Corey Costello talk about things that are happening in and around Tehachapi. Here's Corey and Key.
Welcome to another episode of Tehachapi. I'm Key Budge. With me today, Corey Costello. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
You know, we've had a lot of things going on. It's been a busy beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of I don't know, going through that ocean, that sea of not knowing if we're going to hit calm waters or
right.
So, you know, with that being said, and we've got the vaccines rolling out with Adventist Health and Kern County doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I do sense, though, there's a little bit more, I don't know what to say, calm, but it's not, I don't feel the tension.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I just think you have that sort of hope on the horizon. Obviously, anybody who thought like the vaccine was going to come out and then overnight everything will be okay. Like, no, vaccine's like anything else, right? You have to make it. And so supply continues to be a challenge in Kern County, in the state of California, although there was a story that says the state's going to get like a 23% increase, which is good. Hopefully that trickles into Kern County. So it just, eventually, as we get up on the 1 year anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve,
I know. It is just literally just a few days away.
I saw something today. So about this time last year, I went to they had a great concert in Bakersfield. That was Blake Shelton and the Bellamy Brothers.
Right.
An amazing show. And I made the joke afterwards, like, that was such a great show. If that's the last concert I ever see, like, I'll die a happy man. Well, that's been the last concert I've seen because concerts went away a few weeks later, And so it's like, oh, well, I hope that's not but I know, like, again, with what the progress we're seeing on a multitude of fronts, case rates, vaccines, changing of behaviors, that, we're getting close to that light at the end of the tunnel. It's getting brighter.
It is.
In a good way. So
I'm very hopeful that we'll have as close to a normal summer.
Yeah.
And going back. I'm sure some of these things that we've experienced, there will be some things that stick around.
Yeah.
I know business-wise, I really anticipate the virtual meeting aspect of what we've done in the business world is going to be something we're going to see in the future. A
lot of that, even, with our case, like a lot of cities and council meetings, continuing that virtual presence for a while because even if you were meeting in person, there's still restrictions on the amount of people. Mm-hmm. And so the last thing you want to do is have a meeting and then say, oh, I'm sorry, we can only let 10 people from the public inside. Like, that's not really an open meeting at that point. When you're limiting because of capacity of this room, we can only allow 10 people. Well, that's not really an open meeting, So it's easier just to have it live on the internet, via Zoom like we've been doing. And a lot of cities have found that. So some of that aspect will stick around for a little while. And you're right, the business thing. And I think now it's so much easier, we won't be doing conference calls anymore. I haven't done a conference call in 9 months, 10 months, right? Because Zoom came out and all of a sudden it was like, we're going to do it, it's going to do it via Zoom. Everybody's got a webcam on their computer and that's how we're going to do it. So a lot more of that will continue, which is good in some aspects. I mean, even from the terms of like what the city does. We work with a lot of consultants. Those consultants used to build into their cost travel expenses, this and that, if they had to come on a visit. Now they're not traveling, and so the costs of those consultants actually have gone down because they're not charging you for per diem and travel expenses to come to Tehachapi and look at something. They, you send them photos or whatever, or they can just do it, remotely. It's working, and it does save a little bit of money too. So some of that stuff will stick around.
And I know, we talked with Stacy Larson Everson from our Tehachapi Unified School District on the last show. And I know parents want their kids back in school. The kids want to be in school. And my goodness, with what's going on with the state and this, that's all we can hope for is that this opens up. I know she wants the kids back in their classrooms. They don't want to have empty classrooms.
The classrooms and even like youth activities. And there's some things coming out, and there's some, some sports have decided to return at the Kern County level, not so much with our district yet, but, and there's rumors of less restrictive guidance coming out from the governor within the week or the next few days potentially. Obviously, the political pressure that the governor's on is changing some of that. So I think we'll see some of that. Hopefully, the summertime, the spring, summer leads into that. Into that back to some sense of normal. Although there will be some modifications at least for the next probably 8 more months.
Yeah, it is. I hate the term. It is what it is, but that's kind of really where we're at. We don't have any control. We wish we did.
Yeah.
Here at the local level, we're we've got to follow the guidelines that are being pushed down towards us. So
yeah, I'm gonna be a lot more. I mean, I'm gonna be a lot more thankful though when you get back to doing whatever. You're not gonna take certain things for granted anymore.
It's true.
You're not gonna, if you're not gonna think, oh well, I don't need to go to that. I don't need to go to that football game tonight, or I don't need to go to that basketball game tonight. They'll have another one, and like you miss that interaction, and hopefully people want to go do more things and get out of their homes more, and not just get stuck in front of the TV, because you got a whole year of that. So now would be time to get back to some semblance of normal.
Well, I just want the parents to know that we do hear you. We do know that you want your kids back in school. You want this to be over, and the school district understands that. Unfortunately, we just don't have a control over that. Mm-hmm. But hopefully the information that we're able to provide helps give you a little bit better understanding, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
I know we want to talk about the council meeting we had, because there was a lot of things that were, approved, projects that we can kind of move forward on. But I also want to kind of tease the next show that's coming up. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking with a couple of representatives from Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services. That's the state of California's big umbrella that overlooks emergency preparedness when anything happens. And we're going to be talking about their earthquake app. They've got a new one that just came out called My Shake. And we're going to get the rundown on that and how it's customizable. And with Ridgecrest earthquake, not that really far removed from it, they've even had aftershocks here just over the last few days.
So I think they even said, speaking of aftershocks, that earthquake they had in Japan not too long ago, they said that was an aftershock of an earthquake that happened like 2 years before.
Yeah.
So aftershocks stick around for quite a while. And then of course, the Ridgecrest quake wakes things up. It wakes up faults. Right. And there's been some talk of the Garlock fault, which is not too far away from us, sort of being activated a little bit because of that earthquake, from what the seismologists have said. So they put some kind of warning and pressure on this area,
right?
Potentially as well. So this app will kind of help you, warn you of that potentially. And I don't know. I was always that person though. When they talk about natural disasters, I said, I've traveled to places like that have like tornadoes or hurricanes. I don't like them, right? Because I know it's coming. I've been in tornado watches and warnings a couple of times, and it's creepy because you don't know when it's going to come, right? Or, you just don't. What's out there, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do, right? And so people would say, well, you have earthquakes in California, and I say, yeah, but I don't know it's coming.
Yeah. So
I don't feel as bad, or I'm not worried about it, because I'm like, if it happens, I'll just react in the next few seconds, and adrenaline will take over. It'll be done.
Yeah.
But
I know it always seemed like if the animals went silent, then it's like, okay, yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, there were stories about the 1952 earthquake here in Tehachapi. If you read about it, there were talk of people, we had a lot of livestock back then, right? And a lot of people still travel on horseback in the city. And they said, the night before that there were stories of just the horses just going crazy, and they were really weird, and they couldn't figure it out at some of the stables around town. And, the next day, obviously, the earthquake happened.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to ask them at Cal OES about that.
For sure.
If there's any kind of whatever the science and technology is involved to be able to predict or anticipate, something's going on. So there is something that's being sensed.
Yeah.
So I wonder why animals, can sense it, but we're just immune to some of the finer, more subtle things that occur.
Yeah. And I think that Ridgecrest quake helped them fine tune this, because they got it right with Ridgecrest. The first earthquake happened, and then that day there were some folks coming out saying, we're going to have a much bigger earthquake within the next 48 hours. And sure enough, the next one was 7.1.
Right.
And that the next day that one hit. And so they got it right. And so that, I think the science and the technologies allowed them to do that. So now they're putting that, like anything else, on an app on your phone.
Yeah. So if you want to download the app before the next podcast, it's the My Shake app. I downloaded it, and then we'll get a chance and then we'll get into this app and why it's going to be beneficial.
Perfect.
So that's coming up, and that's Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services, that will be filling us in with all that great information. And they said they would make it Tehachapi specific also.
Beautiful.
Very relatable for our community.
Cool.
Well, Corey, let's get back to the city council meeting. We had one, and there was a lot of things on. One of the busier schedules that we've had.
Yeah, it was one of the longer virtual meetings we've had, and just, it was just the way it all hit, because, again, indicative of what's going on. There's a lot happening. Yeah, we had some of the stuff that the council heard. There was had a couple information-only reports. We just completed a financial audit, and so the auditor actually gave the report to the council on the year-end financial statements from the city. Glowing review, glowing audit. as always, but the council got to hear firsthand what the auditor went through, what the process was, what they didn't find, essentially didn't find, and there was no recommendations to make because everything's on the up and up, and of course the finance department does a great job. So that was one. I did one briefly about we've talked about it before, but our economic opportunity dashboard. So we talked about that a bit, and Phil Smith actually brought up the point that he and I have been around this community for a long time. He much more longer than I, but the fact that we used to go to Mojave for stuff, shopping. They had the Kmart back in the day, and they had the bigger restaurants and that kind of stuff. And now it's completely flipped. Mojave comes here to shop because everything is in Tehachapi now. That's on that dashboard. You can kind of see that stuff. So that, and they heard, they approved a opportunity to the Kern County Board of Supervisors would like to raise the land use fee to help curb illegal dumping countywide. So unincorporated county, but also some allocation will come to the city because everybody pays that land use fee, city or county. And so they were just looking for some support to start the Prop 218 process so it doesn't raise anything right now. There'll be a protest ballot sent to people, and if you don't like it, you don't want to spend the extra money, you vote yes, or you vote no. You send back if you don't want it. If you're okay with it, you do nothing. And so they just wanted the council's support, and that's a very important issue to the Board of Supervisors. I think every city council in this county agrees that illegal dumping, one form or another. So we'll have some money to help do that. We don't have a huge problem with it, but it'll help litter cleanup, more cleanup days. I think we can certainly, with that funding, because it'll allow us to pay for the gate fees and stuff at the landfill when we go to dump that stuff once it's collected. So there'll be some opportunities, I think, there should that pass. So they did that. And then a couple of the community programs. One was the beautification awards that will start in the spring, and you kind of have you took point on that.
Yeah, that was something that really kind of jumped out of the Christmas decoration contest that we held, and how it grew and it became Tehachapi wide, not just here in the city of Tehachapi, and how other entities came on board. I mean, we had the county of Kern come on board with the library, and they wanted to give gift bags to the families that participated, and the Loop wanted to participate, and they helped promote it, and they helped take care of the Bear Valley, Stallion Springs, and Golden Hills areas for it. And then Love Tehachapi came in, and they helped with some of the judging. So that created a lot of positive energy. So having conversations with Greg Garrett, our city manager, he talked about, maybe some kind of a beautification program, and reward people that take care of their properties and show a lot of pride, a lot of Tehachapi pride. So that's what got this going. I started doing some research, looking at what other cities have done, and we thought we can do this. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do is we'll open it up for people to nominate their neighbors. You can nominate yourself if you'd like to. And we'll have a little lawn award, something you can place in your lawn or somewhere in your garden, and just show off the fact that you're Tehachapi proud. Yeah,
and just the fact that maybe you've made a recent improvement. Been a lot of houses downtown, especially that have been improved drastically over the last several months, and that kind of stuff. Or maybe you didn't make an improvement. It's just you've always kept it a certain high quality, and it'll be a chance for your neighbors to say, yeah, I want to kind of give a shout out and give this award to this neighbor who always keeps this yard looking great. So
it's funny because I was having a conversation with Pat Duty from the Loop earlier today, and she was asking me about the program. I said, well, we're now that it's approved, we can start to work through the details and get it, refined to launch and put in the community in the springtime. And she goes, maybe if becomes where someone is nominated and receives the award, then maybe next year they get like a star or something you can add to the plaque, like a little add-on to it. I go, that's brilliant. Maybe that'll have like a year on it or something. Maybe, when we start to look at it. So if you start having these repeat winners, it's like we add, a star. It says, hey, this is a 2-time winner, a 3-time winner.
Well, it's motivation to keep it going too, right? Don't just win once and then let it go, right? Keep it going. So that's a cool idea.
But that came out of, that conversation started by her because she heard about it via through the press release or not even a press release on that. That would just be by listening to the meeting.
Yeah.
And she already had ideas. So it's like, it's already started to generate for those that are aware of it, a little bit of positive energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and hopefully it'll be as well received as we hope that it will.
For sure. We had there was the Railroad Safety Corridor project, which we've talked about a bunch, and it's pretty much done. There was a lot of other sort of ancillary things that happened with that. Not only were the crossings, but a lot of improvements along H Street. And there was an opportunity, just because the project came in under a budget, to do a change order to actually pave a little bit more of H Street east of Hayes. So it's an area that I don't know if it was ever really paved correctly when the street was put in, whenever, 19, whatever it was. And so this actually will get this road paved completely and properly with some leftover grant funding, with a little bit of match from us that comes out of our Streets and Roads Fund to complete H Street. So H Street will have really a full makeover when this is all said and done, end to end, which is needed. So that was a big one. And then we had the Small Business Loyalty Program. That was one we've been working on with the council a little bit, and it is a one where folks can basically go shop locally at an independently owned small business and bring us to City Hall starting March 1st through March 30th, or whenever the funding runs out. Bring us your receipts totaling over $100. So if you went and got your hair done, and then you went to lunch, and then you pick something up, whatever, it totaled over $100, bring those receipts in, because we're going to give you a gift card, a $20 gift card we'll have a variety of restaurants to choose from. So we're going to take $1,000 and go buy, $20 gift cards from a bunch of local independently owned restaurants. And so then you'll get an opportunity to pick a gift card and go back to another small business and redeem that, and hopefully spend a few more bucks while you're there. So it's really focused on independently owned small businesses in the city. No fuel purchases, alcohol, tobacco excluded. Buying groceries doesn't count at Save Mart. Those are fairly large corporations, so the corporations don't count. But a lot of stuff qualifies. Like I said, personal services, retail, restaurants, and we just want you to go support local, and then we'll give you some money back, basically a rebate in the form of a gift card. And
this is available for, it doesn't matter where you live.
Yeah.
If you live in Bear Valley or Stallion Springs and you come into town to shop, you come in, you spend $100 at small mom and pop shops here in the city of Tehachapi, save those receipts, bring them to City Hall, and they'll get to pick their gift card.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're rebating. I mean, if you bring in something around $100, right, and it can be multiple receipts. You don't need to go spend $100 at one spot. If you bring in 3 or 4 that total $100, purchased after the March 1st date, great. And that's how we really hope, because that means you've actually spread your money around a little bit to some of these folks. And then, we'll give you that gift card. So we'll give you almost a quarter of it back, in terms of in form of a gift card.
It's such a positive program because, I mean, it helps in that variety of ways. Yeah. I mean, so we're rewarding the people that are shopping local and taking care of our businesses. And then we acknowledge them by giving them a gift card to go enjoy their next meal, and hopefully they'll spend a little bit more at that restaurant and, or open their eyes to maybe a place they haven't tried before.
That's my hope. I hope maybe you're like, well, I've been wanting to try this place, but I've never had, but $20 is a motivation to go do it. So
what's
hopefully
funny
that helps.
Is the video that we shot, you and I went out to Four Seasons Cafe and shot a recap video, and we talked about this, and it created a couple of questions about, is that a Tehachapi restaurant?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I had to respond, yes, it is. It's the Four Seasons Cafe in downtown. Yeah. Oh, it looks incredible. I'm going to go check it out. And it was like, that was the social media, just seeing the location. So it's already going to open some eyes.
Yeah. And I think there was someone else who left a comment about all the things they love there.
Yeah.
And they're
really true. Yeah.
They were really happy we're kind of promoting them. And there'll be one of the restaurants you can choose from as well. And Michael and his crew there do an amazing job. Their food's outstanding. It's unique. And it's really good. And so we're hoping that you'll maybe want to try something new. And I know I saw a study that I think was done last year. 59% of people who get a gift card spend over the value when they go back.
Right.
And so, and I'm certainly, because you almost feel like it's free money at that point. You're like, well, I have $20 in free money. I'll still spend the 40 I was going to spend anyway.
Right.
And so it just helps, so the good news is the money immediately gets into the hands of the small business owner, because we're going to go buy, let's say, $100 worth of gift cards at Four Seasons. So there's $100 day for them right away, right? Not a huge deal, but it's something. And then we're going to hand those back out to those folks with their qualifying purchases. and then they're going to go back and hopefully. So I'm hoping the $100 investment turns into several $100s and sort of a stimulus for the business by when the customers go back and redeem them.
And this is going to take place during the month of March. And we really want this to be something that we can go back to council and show the success, or we can do it again in April and May. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Is this could be a rollover program if the community supports it?
Yeah, we were given we did the initial allocation of 1,000, and then with an additional 1,000, if this is rolling well and hot, we can go into another month with another $1,000. And so, and we're kind of focusing on the restaurants too that I know they're not necessarily struggling, but it's like. They've told me that, I'm down a little bit, I'll get through it, but, they're not maybe where they were in years past, or maybe the shutdown of not having indoor dining a lot of the time has impacted them or that kind of stuff. So because there's plenty of restaurants that are doing very well still.
Right.
And because of their business model, didn't rely on that maybe dine-in customer as much, or they were established for so long. So, they don't really need, the extra foot traffic at this point. Maybe in the second go-round, we'll throw them into the mix. But the first go-round is really those folks that either they're newer or, I kind of know they could probably use a little help, a little push. And that's kind of the motivation for selecting, the first 10 or so restaurants that we've chosen for this.
It's a pilot program, and we really want this to be successul.
Yeah.
And it's the coldest time of the year, so it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, winter's
for
always
folks.
tough. Yeah.
And then if we can kind of help give them that little lift into the warmer months that are ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, this 2021 could be a much better year than 2020 was.
Yeah, and just an opportunity, like I said, try something new, or pick something up from a favorite, that kind of stuff. It's just going to be a program we're going to try out, and I think it'll do well. We'll have some social media stuff out about it and instructions on how to participate. And again, I mean, it's really geared around the small businesses. So you need to go buy from an independently owned shop, not Walmart. It's not going to count.
Yeah.
So we certainly appreciate their presence, but this is aimed at the small business folks in the city, and you can get really creative. I mean, even with what you're purchasing, if you go to a place like, the recently opened Deco du Jour, and you bought furniture or something, right? That's a couple $1,000s, right? But that still counts. That's
right.
A small business. So bring that receipt in. I'm not. We're only going to give you one gift card for it. You're not going to get 20 per 100, but you're going to at least that'll count, even though it's a large purchase. But that's a small business you went and did a large purchase from, or the Sears, the hometown store Sears right next door. Danny Jackson and his
that's
family
true.
own the place.
That is a mom and pop owned.
Absolutely, yeah. Those and that's if you think about it, that Sears is not the Sears that you think it was, right? It's not the bankrupt
Sears.
Sears.
Roebuck.
Yeah, it's not the bankrupt Sears. Those are Sears hometown stores. It's actually a separate, independently owned. They have their own sort of board, and each store owner actually has a vote. So it's kind of cool. I mean, it uses the name Sears, but it is actually it's a small business. So that one certainly counts as well. So yeah,
it's going to be, I think, well received by the community. Those that are listening are like, hey, okay. Is it begin with purchases that begin in March, or if someone buys something in February, can that be related to
we could probably, squeeze it in a few days. March 1st is kind of the start date, but if you brought something in from
if you're listening to this podcast and you buy something today or the next couple of days before March,
right,
go ahead and hold it, and we'll combine those.
Right. Yeah, that's close enough. And
it falls within the spirit of what we want it to do.
Right. And we even use that terminology in the rules and conditions, right? Like, we do reserve the right on certain things that violate the spirit of this to be like, it might not work, but I think we'll be fine.
If you did go into Deco du Jour, and we wouldn't want you to ask her for 5 separate receipts for the 5, because that kind of breaks the spirit.
Yeah, you bought one lamp. How have you broken this up into 4 different receipts? Yeah.
So there are a few rules, and it's one per person, one
per person per week. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things, and that's just to make sure we can try and spread it around as far as we can.
And I don't mind if you're a return customer, right? So if you go do this for 1 week and come back the next week, and with a whole different set of receipts that you purchased between then and now, like, great, you're shopping, you're doing what we're hoping, you're patronizing the local businesses. That's what we're looking for. There's no reason to cut you off.
But you do have to come into City Hall during City Hall hours, which is Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 to redeem and get the gift card. So that's the only stipulation. There won't be extended hours for that.
Nope.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So Was there anything else at the meeting?
I think that was pretty much it. I mean, there was, like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I think the council got a lot done, and it was it was a good meeting. It was positive. The Loop platform. That's what I forgot. Yeah. So Friends of the Tehachapi Depot, they operate the rail museum, the train depot museum when it's open. Hopefully they'll reopen that thing soon. They've been, for several years, been kind of working loosely with the county of Kern to try to get some kind of viewing platform set up on Woodford-Tehachapi Road over the Tehachapi Loop. If you've been down there, it's a state landmark. There's a couple monuments, but they're just literally on the dirt shoulder. And it's in this era where, it's technology allows you to see things on the internet and say, I want to go there, right? Train people want to come to Tehachapi to see the loop. And so there's a lot more visitors, but there's no place to park. You're darting in and out of a 2-lane, road on Woodford Tehachapi. And so this process started a while ago, and now Friends of the Depot actually have some plans that were put together for this. And they've started sort of a fundraising campaign. The public side will start in March, but they have this a goal to raise the money to build this. They've gone to some other donors in the meantime to sort of get the ball started, and they asked the city to donate $10,000 and be a founding member, so to speak, or a major sponsor for this project, and the council voted to do that. The project's not in the city, but I think Mayor Smith made the point that it's got the name Tehachapi on it. It's the Tehachapi Loop, and our friends at the depot have a big sign at the loop that say, come visit the Depot Museum. And so we're trying to drive tourism into the city as a result of the loop. And so there's a big, strong connection there.
And the museum does do guided tours there at the loop. So they do have that aspect where the museum does go there. Recently, and it was just a few weeks ago, I drove past the monuments there at the loop. And it was a drizzly day. It was, a cold, winter kind of day. Yeah. And there were people in lawn chairs sitting alongside the road next to the monuments, right, just waiting for the next train to come by.
Because there's no schedule, right? These aren't passenger trains; they're freight trains. So you have no idea when they're going to run.
And I go, wow, they are really committed to viewing the trains going over itself, and it's amazing. I mean. I appreciate that industry. I don't have that little gene that says I want to watch them for an extended period of time. But if they build that platform, I'm going to go. I'm going to take my grandson. Yeah. It's one of those engineering marvels.
Right. It's an engineering monument too, along being a state monument because of the marvel aspect of it. Yeah. And it's going to provide a safe platform. Yeah. They've had some donors already, obviously, along with the city, and even Dalbun, the Loop Ranch, the property actually. So Loop Ranch had to give them a piece of their property because it borders that in order to be able to extend the platform and even donate filled dirt to build the base. And Loop Ranch is going to do that in Dalbun. So that's a big piece of it, to be able to get that easement, so to speak, for the monument. And I think it's going to be a great project. It's been kind of out in the background. But there's going to be a big public donation campaign coming up as well. Plenty of opportunities for folks to give starting in March. And along with that, too, they've set up, if you go on YouTube, they have the depot cams. A lot of local news stations use them for their weather cams, right? They just tap into the depot cams. They've got them that face the Green Street crossing and then one down off the platform shooting west. And so when the depot's open, it's funny because when a train comes by, everybody working the depot that day, all the docents run out and they start waving at the camera, because if you look at that thing, there are hundreds of people watching that
at any time of the day.
At any given time.
Right.
They watch the depot cam to watch trains go by.
Right.
And so we've actually created the idea there's going to be a PayPal button on that camera. So if you're folks watching from all over the world, and that's literally where they're watching from, can donate to the Loop viewing platform while watching the depot train cam too. So
that's pretty cool.
Trying to get crowdfunding from all over the world really, and make that so the city's donation was just a small donation to really show we're supportive of the project, and there'll be a chance for the public to donate as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's long overdue. And this will get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I produced a video for them.
Yeah.
And I called in one of my friends, Jeff Emery, from KUZZ, because he's a train nerd.
Oh, yeah.
So I text Jeff and I says, hey, I've got something, but I don't have a budget to pay you. This would be strictly a volunteer thing. He goes, well, what is it? I go, well, there's the train, the loop. And he goes, okay, I'm in. And that was about as far as I got. And he's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Send me the script. It's done.
Yeah.
So when you see a video and you hear Jeff Emery's voice from KUZZ, that's what we're talking about.
There you go. Yeah. No, it's huge. And it's crazy to see. I mean, if you're on Instagram, and I follow like the hashtag Tehachapi just to see when people post about our community. Right. Well, there's a La Mesa Railroad Club down in the San Diego area that they have rebuilt, and I've been to. I think they also have their display at Balboa Park a lot of the time. But they've rebuilt the Bakersfield to Tehachapi rail line in a model railroad, and so they're always to the detail of dirt roads and access roads. They all hashtag Tehachapi at least a couple of times a day talking about this train coming up this portion of the grade. And it's just the model that they built. And I've been to it at Balboa Park, and it's amazing. Like, I mean, I was there with my wife one time and my son, and I said, I came all the way to San Diego to look at a railroad that I could see at home. Right. I mean, I see the real thing every day, and now here's the model, and it's really cool. So there's this kind of cult following for that train, and it's an important loop. I mean, Bakersfield to Tehachapi and the Tehachapi loop, like it's a very important stretch of American railroad history.
And the national commerce that still rolls through there, it's huge.
Yeah.
If you're going east and west, they're coming from the ports and they're going through that pass.
There's one right now. Yeah. Literally, we just heard the horn.
Yeah, you might be able to hear as it hits it's the next passing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so folks, we want to remind you, that we enjoy doing this quite a bit. Corey and I both have radio background, so we enjoy it, and we pull Greg in when he has the time. Mm-hmm. But we still want to hear from you. We invite you to send us those emails with your comments, your thoughts, questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. If we can take one of those thoughts about a show, we'll go out and find a guest that will help fit that topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So send us an email, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We'd love to hear from you. Again, that's media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Don't forget the Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services, and the MyShake app, and we're going to talk about earthquake preparedness and earthquake, readiness and early alerts and technology and all kinds of things that, will and have had a historic impact in this area, and that hopefully, can create a little safety, and we'll do that in the next show.
Yeah, and my shake sounds delicious, but it's not one of those shakes.
Go head over to Wendy's and get a Frosty.
Right, yeah. I'm like, my shake. That sounds good.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you tell a friend about Tehachapod. We'd love to see that subscriber base grow. And again, send us that email, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Until next time, we appreciate you taking the time to give us a listen.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.